Parshas Yisro, Tov Shim Pai Hai, B'siyata D'Shmaya. This week's Parsha is the Parsha of Matan Torah. Hashem gave for Klal Yisrael the Torah. He gave us the Aseres Adibris. The last one of the Aseres Adibris is Lo Yisach Moed. Not allowed to be choymed. How do you say choymed in English? To
covet.
Again?
Covet.
Covet.
C-O-V-E-T.
C-U?
Yeah. C-O.
C-O? V?
The one what someone else has.
Yeah. C-O?
C-O-V-E-T.
V-E-T. Covet.
I never hear that word, but it's always.
I know in Hebrew, covet means covet. He likes to have covet. But you say, this is the other one.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the Rishonim ask, how could the Torah be mitzaveh? Something that's a dover amos lelev. It's in the heart of a person. You can tell a person he shouldn't speak something, he shouldn't do something. If regarding to a pa'ula of a person, a doing of a person, or what a person speaks, you can tell him what is allowed and what not. But if he has a rotz and a desire in his heart, he has a covet, like you say, a chemdo, how could you be mitzavah on that and tell him you shouldn't? If his heart has this chemda, he has this chemda. The Rishonim ask this question, how could the Torah be mitzavah on that? There's a lot of teritzim. One of the known teritzim is what the Even Ezra brings down. He says that a person, a ben kvar, someone that was brought up, he is a very poshete, cheap person. He was brought up in the wilderness. And someone is going to tell him, maybe it would be a good match for you to marry the king's daughter. It wouldn't even enter his mind to marry the king's daughter. He is a ben kfar, very, very poshete. He should have the schiyah to marry the king's daughter. It's so far from him. He doesn't even have a desire, a rotza, and he doesn't even have a chemda, a kovet to get it, because, a person only could be choyim with what he thinks. Maybe he could reach it. Something that's so far from him, it doesn't start him to become. The Torah wants us that, and the Torah says something you're not allowed to, it should become so far from you, like if it would have been the difference between the ben kvar and the bas hamelech. Such a difference should be by you once the Torah tells you no. By the Torah telling you no, so if the Torah tells you lo yisach moed, whatever another person has, that should make the hefresh from the difference from you to that thing so far, like the difference between a ben kvar and the bas hamelech, that he would never even have a chemda to it. Now, but I also saw once in the Sefer Oir Yitzchok, from Reb Yitzchok from Radavil. He is the son of the Heilige Rebbe Mechele from Zlotshev. Some say it in the name of his father, the Rebbe Mechele Zlotshev is Chizuk Naraini, that they say, gewaltige pshat, that lo yisach moed is like when you make a cheshbon, you make a calculation, and a person writes one number, another number, and by the end he makes a line, and sachakol, the total is like this and this. So he explains, lo yisach moed is the total from the first 9 dibris. It's not another, it's the 10th, but the 10th is the total. If you're going to be mekayim on loichi, lo yelecha, lo yisisa, kabed es, zochas yom ha-Shabbos lekatshoy, lo yisinov, lo yisignoiv, lo yisane v'reyachu, and what's the other one? Lo yisirtzach, oh, I forgot lo yisirtzach. Then the total is going to be lo yisach moed. If you're going to be doing what I tell you to do in those 9 dibris, you're going to see that you won't have any more chemda. It's going to be by you lo yisach moed. That's how the Oir Yitzchok explains. It's like the Hashem tells you, I'm the one creating every creature, every person, every barrier. And if you're going to do your part, you're going to see that the calculation is going to be lo yisach moed. Now, before Matan Torah, it says that Hashem told Klal Yisrael, Hagbel Esivor, you're not allowed to go up the Har Sinai. Not only you're not allowed to go up, you're not even allowed to touch the Har Sinai. I once said, I don't remember in the name of which tzaddik, that he said a tremendous zach. We see in Chazal that before Hashem Yisburach gave the Torah for Klal Yisrael, he chozar al kol umma v'loshen. He went around to all the Imesuelam and he asked them if they want to be mekabel the Torah. Each one of them asked, Maksiv, by what does it say in the Torah? So when it came to Esav, the Malach told them, Lo yisirtzach. So they say, no, we have our tzavor from our father, al har b'chotichya. You tell me lo yisirtzach, we can't be mekabel the Torah. He went to Yishmuel, he told them lo yisinov. They said, impossible. Chazal say, asore kaven of zinus came down on this world. Now, 9 of the 10 the Ishmaelim took. How could you tell us lo yisinov? So they weren't mekabel the Torah. Every ummah, the malach, the shlich of Hashem told them, the har is part of the Torah that's negeya to them. Now what's with Klal Yisrael? How come Hashem didn't tell Klal Yisrael what's about to come with the Torah? The truth could be that Klal Yisrael didn't ask Maksiv Bey. They said, you want to give us the Torah, we're willing to accept it. They didn't ask, what does it say in the Torah? If you don't ask, Hashem gives you the Torah. If you start asking, meaning to say you want to see if it's for you or if it's not for you, then I have to tell you the hardest part of the Torah that's going to be Negeya for you. But if you don't ask, so it's good. You're going to be mekabel the Torah. That's why it's mashmin in the Gemara Masechta Shabbos. That Klal Yisrael went betmimis with Hashem. They said Nasa v'nishma, even before knowing what Hashem is going to give him in the Torah. They went betmimis to Mas Yisharim Tanachem. But I once said in the name of Episod Tzadik that he said Hashem did try out Klal Yisrael with the hardest part. By giving them the mitzvah of Agbola, that was the hardest part for Klal Yisrael, because in the DNA of a Yid is, when he sees Kedusha, he sees Har Sinai. Hashem is Baruch coming down on the barg, on the, how do you call it, Har? A mountain. Hashem coming down on the mountain of Har Sinai, Moshe Rabbeinu going up. And they also we want to be close to Hashem. We want to have such a desire to get close to Hashem. And I'm telling them, Hagbel, stay back, stay back. You can't go up. Hagbel Esor, that was the hardest nisoyin of Klal Yisrael. And Hashem tried them out with that. You have to know where you could go, where you can't go. You have a gewaldige rotzoin and a gewaldige tshuke to come close. But you have to know that sometimes it's impossible, and you have to stay where you are. And that was the mitzvah of Agbola that Hashem did with Klal Yisrael. Now, when the pasuk says over there that no one should even touch the mountain, it says, "Im behemo im ish lo yichya." If anyone is going to touch the mountain, he won't stay alive. That's what the pasuk says. No one should go up on the mountain, and no one should even touch it. The lashon pasuk is "Im behemo im ish lo yichya." So I heard once that the Beis Yisrael of Gad said, he said it b'derech tzachas as a joke, but it's a Torah. He meant it. He said like this: Im behema im ish. If a person is one day a behema, and one day he is a man. I mean, it's like a day like this and a day like this. Such a person lo yichya. You can't live like this. Lo yichya. You can't be living having chiyas if you're a day like this and a day like this. Even though every person has aliyas and yeridas, you have better times. But it can't be such a big difference. One day, they call it the Yiddish, a day a malach and a day a galach. One day he is a malach, and one day he's a priest. A priest, not a priest, not a priest, a priest. Yeah. You see, no, because I didn't know how, I never learned how to pronounce it. I just saw it written. So I thought maybe you read it priest, it's a priest. All right. So you can't be a day a malach and a day a galach. So im behema, im ish. One day you're a behema and one day you're a person. That's lo yichya. They say in the name of the Atzachaim from Sigid, the Klosenborg Rebbe Zechon Levruche from Netanya. He was Bezivig Rishni was his son-in-law. He said in his name of his father-in-law, Bezivig Rishni, his first marriage before the war. He said my father-in-law was a very clever person, a kliege Yid, and he told me, Aher in Ahim is a sheisi ve'erev. Sheisi ve'erev means a cross. Yeah, how do you call it? What the goyim have a tzaylim? They call it a cross. Meaning to say, what's a cross? Up and down, right and left. So if a person is one day up, one day down, right and his left, this is a sheisi ve'erev. This is avodah zarah. This is a cross. A person, versteht sich, like we said before, a person could have better matzov and schwache matzovim, but it shouldn't be like one day he's in the sky and one day he's very, very down. If it's like, in that case, so much up and down and right and left, that's a sheisi ve'erev. You have to try the most possible that you could be in a certain way and try to, in that way that you are, ivikashte mishamas Hashem alekecha, to try to find Hashem in your matzah and strive to stay close to Hashem and not let yourself go. One day I had a good day, now the other day I could leave myself go down. That's very not good. It has to be, it shouldn't be in Behema Mish. In such a case, it's lo yichya. It's not considered living. Now let's start the parsha from the beginning of the parsha. Vayishma Yisro koyam Midian. Yisro. No, this is not Hamashpia. Yisro heard. What did he hear? Rashi brings down that he heard Kriyas Yamsim and Melchemes Amalek. Actually, the Pasuk says, what did he hear? He heard that everything that Hashem did for Moshe, Eli Yisrael Amoy, and the Pasuk goes on, Ki hoitzi Hashem es Yisrael me'Mitzrayim, that Hashem took out Klal Yisrael from Mitzrayim. But Rashi explains, what did he hear and it made him come? Kriyas Yamsim and Melchemes Amalek. Now this Rashi is from two places. The Gemara in Masechta Zvuchim says that he heard, I think, Kriyas Yamsim. In Mechilta it says he heard Melchemes Amalek. And Rashi picks out the Gemara in Zvuchim and the Mechilta and brings down Kriyas Yamsim and Melchemes Amalek. Why dafke those two things? You could say a very good pshat. By those two things, Yisro was like thinking to himself, I am now b'chvoide shaloylam. He was the biggest. It says in the Medrashim that after Kriyas Yamsiv, all the imas were like, they were putting their focus on Yisro. What's Yisro going to do now? Because he was the one that they knew. He tried out all the Avodah Zorahs. This Avodah Zorah, that Avodah Zorah. He says down, after he says, Ato Yodati ki Godel Hashem mikolu Elohim, Rashi explains, we see from this that he didn't leave behind any Avodah Zorah that he didn't try out. All Avodah Zorahs he tried. I wanted to see what he's going to do. And when he came to Midbar, and he was Mekabel upon himself to become a Yid, to be Megaid himself, that was tremendous. A Kiddush Hashem for all the Emes Oilam. Now this Yisro, it was pretty hard for him to leave behind such a high position that he was B'chvoide Shaloilam. He was considered the biggest of Mamish, the biggest, and leave everything and to become. He didn't know what's going to happen. Is he going to be accepted? Is he going to be Matzliach to become a Yid? Is it going to go easy for him or not? What made him, what gave him the push to do it? Yisro thought like this. He heard about Kriyas Yamsiv. What was Kriyas Yamsiv? Zeh keili v'aneveyu. Chazal say, each and every one of Klal Yisrael was zoichet to see the Shechina. And they showed with a finger, Zeh keili v'aneveyu. Chazal say, Ruasu shifcha alayom, mashal ru yecheskel b'neviyah. Each shifcha is considered a shifcha you call in English a maid servant, yeah, a maid servant. That's the poshet stuff, the poshet stuff. Even those were zoichet to see such a gewaldige nevuah, what Yecheskel didn't see. So that showed for Yisro, look, by Klal Yisrael, it's not like by the Goyim, that only the priests and the Choshev and the low level was considered. No one looks at them, no one is their machshiv, no one gives them any chashivus, because they are the low level. No, by Klal Yisrael, Hashem gave them Kriyas Yamsiv, and even the Shivcha saw the Gevaldige Yizgalas of Zekeli Vanvei. And then he comes to Melchemes Amalek. What was Melchemes Amalek? In Pasuk it says, the Parshas Kiseitze, that Amalek came, Vayezanev Becho Kol HaNechasholam Achrecha. And Rashi explains, those that were like sinners, and the Onon was spoiled, spit them out. There were those of Klal Yisrael that they did an Aveire. They weren't able to stay in the Onon. So the Anan Yakovoit spit them out, Poltoma Onon, until they did tshuva. Now Amalek came and he started fighting with those. Now Hashem could say, all right, few sinners, he's bothering the few sinners, but such a big problem. Nish gefährlich. Hashem tells Moshe, you have to go out and make a melchama with Amalek. And we have to remember this, midoy milchama Hashem ba'amalek, midoy. Why? He came to fight with Klal Yisrael. With whom did he fight? He fought with the ones that were nachasholam acharecha, that they were thrown out from the honor. Yisro sees this. Klal Yisrael is a gewaldige nation. What a nation Klal Yisrael is. Hashem loves them so much. Yisrael al pi shechato, Yisrael, he stays a Jew. Hashem still loves him like a ben yochid. He shows to each and every of them the biggest is Galazah, and if someone dares to start off, even with the schwachste, the weakest of Klal Yisrael, the one that was thrown out from the honor, Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, you have to take the biggest tzaddikim and you have to fight the clip of Amalek. Why? Because he started up and he bothered the schwachste. If that's the case, he says, I could become a ger tzedek. What's the problem? I won't be the biggest, all right, but I'm going to be one of them. It's not that if I won't be, he thought, if he won't be a priest or something big, who says someone is going to look at him? For sure they're going to look at me. Because by Kalal Yisrael, every Yid is very choshev by Hashem, and no one is like left out. If that's the case, I have no problem to be Megai myself. I'm going to become a Yid. And all right, whatever is going to be, but I'm going to be one of Kalal Yisrael. I'm going to be considered one of them. I'm going to be considered something. I have a chashivas. Now, a lot of times people hear things, but they don't take it into them. Yisrael, the Zohar HaKodesh says last week, Shomi Ami Mirgazim, all the Imes Oilam heard the Kriyas Yamsiv, Chil Ochas Yoshve Peloshes, but all of them stayed where they were. Yisrael was Vayishma Yisrael, and he came. He heard, he listened, and he absorbed it, and he didn't, and he went into action. He started doing something, and he came, he was Megai himself. That's considered the Shmiya, Vayishma Yisrael. The Chassam Sofer says, interesting, there's a pasuk, Mi chacham v'yishmar eila v'yizboinen v'chastei Hashem. A real chacham doesn't leave anything just in his mind as a chachma. He takes it into bina. We spoke about this last week. He is being mizboinen, and he's thinking into it until it changes him to become a better person regarding the chachma that he has in his mind. So mi chacham v'yishmar eila, who is considered the true chacham? Someone that takes his chachma v'yizboinen, when he's mizboinen, bina, novoin, meivin davar, metoich davar, chastei Hashem. So the Chassam Sofer, interesting. Mi chacham is Rosh Teivos, Yisroi, koyin midyan, choisen Moshe. That's the Rosh Teivos of the two words, mi chacham. Because Yisroi, he was a true chacham. Mi chacham is Rosh Teivos, not on the Seder. The Yud is Yisroi. Now Chof Mem is Chof Mem is Kohen Midyan, and Ches Mem is Choisen Moshe. Yisroi Kohen Midyan Choisen Moshe. He is the Mi Chacham that he wasn't only that he heard about something. He took the Chachma and he was misboinen until he came to Moshe Rabbeinu and he was Mekabel. The Degel Machne Ephraim explains Vayishma Yisroi. Al Piderech who avoid the person has to hear and he has to listen and he has to understand. What's going to be left behind? Yisrael. What am I going to leave over? What am I going to leave behind? If a person thinks into that, he knows, no one takes along with himself to Oylamu Elyon, no Kesef, no Zohar. Only the mitzvahs and the Maasam Toivim that he did, and the chinuch that he puts into his children, into the next generation, and whatever koichis he puts into that, that's the Iker. What stays? What does he leave behind after his living? Vayishma, you should understand. Yisrael, what are you going to leave behind after yourself? And if you understand that, Yisrael understood, what do I have from all of the riches and all of the cover that I have? I have to see to be koine some ruchnius, and he came and he was Megai himself. Now he brings along Tzipoira, the wife of Moshe, and her two children, Moshe's two children. Shemu Echad Gershom, Shemu Echad Eliezer. How does it work? Shemu Echad Gershom, Shem Hasheni Eliezer. No, the first one is Gershom, the second is Eliezer. Why does it say Shemu Echad Gershom and then Shemu Echad Eliezer? So the Welt sagt, gewaltige Teretz. Children are not potatoes, are not eggs. Eggs or potatoes you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Children, each and every child is a one and only. Each and every child is an individual and he is a one and only. It's not Echad Gershom, Sheni Eliezer. You can have 10 children. Echad Gershom, Echad Eliezer, Echad Ruvain, Echad Shimon. Everyone is Echad Yochid Meichad. An individual, a Ben Yochid. By Hashem, we are for sure like this. The Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh says that each and every Yid of Klal Yisrael is considered by Hashem like a Ben Yochid. So that's the way how we have to look at our children also. Each and every one of them is like an Echad. He's Echad Meyuchad, one and only. Now, it's interesting, another that by the first one it says, Shemu echad geishem, and the pasuk goes on, ki omar, because Moshe said, Geira yisi beretz nachriu. I was a ger in a, how do you call it? Eretz nachriu? In a foreign land. In a foreign land. Beretz nachriu. I was a ger in a foreign land. Now, the other one he calls Eliezer, why? Ki alikei avi be'ezni. Alikei, Hashem. It's all right. Alekai uvi. It's all right. Alekai uvi. I have tissues. Reb Zev, I have. No, I have. Alekai uvi be'ezni. Vayatzileini mecheref paroi. Yeah, that's what. Oh, shkoyach. Shkoyach. He says, Alekai uvi be'ezni, vayatzileini mecheref paroi. Hashem yizburech, Alekai uvi, he was be'ezni. How do you say be'ezni? He was to my help. He was to my help. And he saved me, mecheref paroi. Now, so the kasha is, why by Gershom it says ki omar, and by Eliezer it doesn't say ki omar. It just says v'shemu echad Eliezer ki Alekai ovi be'ezni v'yatzaleini mecheref paroi. Why doesn't it say ki omar? So it says in the Sefer Degel Machane Ephraim, gewaltige word. He says, if it would have been saying ki omar, it should have been saying afterwards ki omar Alekai ovi hoyo be'ezni. The reason why he called his child Eliezer, because he said, like it says before by Gershom, Geira Yisi. He said, why did I call my son Gershom? Now I wasn't anymore a Ger. I was once upon a time a Ger Beretz Nachriu. So he would have to say, why did I call my son Eliezer? Ki Omar, because he said, Alekai Ovi Hoyo Be'ezni. You don't say, An Alekai Ovi, he was Be'ezni, he was my help. Shkoyach. He is still my help. We need Hashem, and every second of our lives we need the siyata d'shmaya. So because he didn't want to write Alekai uvi shkoyach, Alekai uvi hoyo be'ezni, that Hashem was at my help, he wanted to say Alekai uvi be'ezni, Hashem helps me each and every second of my life. So because he wanted it to say that way, he didn't say Omar. Not Omar, he said something that was. It's still, the whole time it's continuous. Alekai Yuvi Be'ezni, Hashem is helping me out each and every second. Alekai Yuvi Be'ezni. Once the Yeshia was Vayatzileini mecheref paroi. That was once. But every second of my life, Hashem is helping me. Alekai Yuvi Be'ezni. So he doesn't want to say Ki Omar. He didn't say so like Elosh and Omar. Something that happened. Alekai Yuvi Hoyo Be'ezni. Only Alekai Yuvi Be'ezni. Moshe Rabbeinu goes on, and it says in Pasuk Vayesapa Moshe lechoisdoi. Moshe told his Shver Yisro, as kol usu Hashem lepari leMitzrayim. Everything that Hashem did, aloidis Yisrael, and he goes on and he says, as kol atlu Hashem etzosam bederech. All the hardships. How do you say tlu in English? Hardships, or even tlu means mitchenish. How do you say it in English? All the by getting tired. If you have to work, it's not toil. Maybe toil. Toil could be the right word. Eskola tlu, it's like, it's interesting. Tlu and toil are not so far, one of the other. Eskola tlu Hashem etzosam baderech vayatzilam Hashem. Now Rashi explains what's the reason why he told this to his shver. Limshech es liboy lekarav v'letoire. He wanted it to be moishech, to pull his shver, his leiv, his heart, to be a mekarav to toire. Now, if that was the case, we could understand Moshe telling him all the good chalokim that happened to Klal Yisrael. The Nisim that Hashem did with them, the Asara Makos, Yitzias Mitzrayim. But why does he have to speak about the Talah, the toil that Klal Yisrael went through? That's going to be Mekarav Yisrael toToire. Why does he have to tell him the Tlu, Hashem Etzosam Baderech? I once heard from the Beyond the Rebbe Shlita. He said with a story. There's a story that the Yid came once to the Beis Ahron from Karlin, not the Beis Ahron, his grandfather, Rabbi Nagudel from Karlin. He was a Talmud of the Maggid from Ezrich. A Yid came, and this Yid was never before. He was a big Bal Aveire. He did a lot of Aveiris, Chatuim, Avoinis, Ifshuim, and he wanted to become a Bal Tshuva. And he came to the Rabbi Nagudel and he says, Rebbe, I want to start a new page. I want to become good from now. What do I do with all of the Aveiras that I did till now? Now those tzaddikim, they had very holy eyes, and he looked at the seed, and he saw what's the matter with the seed. He told them, look, I can't help you. How do you call it? It's a very hard case, but I could send you to my Rebbe. My Rebbe was the Maggid from his rich, the Rebbe. I'm going to send you to him, and he's going to have for you a way how to help you. Sure. He sent along a letter with the seed, and he wrote for his Rebbe, this and this seed is coming to you, and you should know, mikaf regel v'adroish ein boi mesoim. From his, how do you call it? From his feast, kaf regel. How do you call it in English? Kaf regel, huh? From the capital till the fiesele, huh? Who's? From his ankle. The kaf regel, from his ankle till his head, ein boi mesoim. Nothing is left whole. Everything is broken. Meaning to say, there is Ramach Eivorim, Shesah Gidim refers to the Ramach Mitzvah, Shesah Loisese, everything is damaged. Now the seed went to the holy Mezritche Magid, and versteht sich, once upon a time, to get to Mezritch. It took a long time, maybe even 2 weeks, horse and wagon, very, very long time. It was very hard the way. He arrives to the Magid, and the Magid opens the letter, and he has a look at the seed, and he says, no, it's not so gefährlich. It's not like Rabban is writing. So right away he answered to himself, and he said, Weiss Tois, seems to happen that the Tilk Laderech did something to this person. All the tribulations that he had on his way here, washed him. It washed him out. He's not yet fully washed out, but he was on the way. It's not, you can't write on him, it's not that case already. So, what do we see from this story? That every tzad that a Yid has washes him out. We have a wash machine. Hashem washes us. And he has a little bit yisirim of it. That's why tzaddikim say in the Apteruf says, a person when he has a tzara, something doesn't go as he wants, he should say the pasuk, Re'ei ani v'amoli v'sulech al chatoisoi. Hashem should see my pain, and you should be moichle all of my avoynes. Re'ei ani v'amoli v'sulech al chatoisoi. Even on the smallest zach, the Gemara says in the Masechta Eirechen, what's considered yisurim? Yisurim don't have to be big yisurim. Person puts his hand into his pocket and he wants to take out a certain coin, and another coin comes out. That's also considered yisurim. And if he reminds himself and says, "Oh, Hashem sent me a message now. Hashem, it should be kapuras avonis." You say kaparat avonot. It should be for kaparat avonot. So this is the Beyond that ever explains. This is what Moshe told Israel. You should know that by Klal Yisrael, even if they have toil, they have tribulations, they have hardships, it's for the good, because afterwards that's part of their wash machine that they're getting washed out. Klal Yisrael was meshuke b'memtet shara timah. They were so deep into the timah. How could they be ready to be mekabel the Torah? Because they went through all of the hardships. So Moshe wants to make his Shver Yisrael closer, his father-in-law closer. So he tells him all the nisim, but he also tells him, why? Because all of these hardships, the toil that you had on the way to Har Sinai, that was part of the way to be able to be Zoich, to be Mekabel the Torah. So that shows that by Yid, nothing is for waste, nothing is for Bechinam. Everything that he has a purpose, and it does a purpose on the person. The Pasuk goes on and it says, Vayichad Yisrael. Rashi brings down 2 pshatim of Vayichad Yisrael. One pshat, Vayismach Yisrael. He was very happy. Another pshat, Nase Besore Chiduden. He felt in his body like, how do you call it?
Goosebumps.
Again?
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, the chills. Like
Chills.
When a person is cold.
Cold.
Very cold.
All right, so his old Besari was Chididen. Why? Because it bothered him for the loss of the Mitzrayim, Eitzal, Ibid Mitzrayim, because he was still connected a little bit. He only now became a Ger Tzedek. He still had any connection. Chadal said that a Ger till 10 doiris, you shouldn't shame a guy in front of him, because he still feels, he has still a feeling. Now, I saw in the Sefer, tomorrow is the Yortzat, Yidal et Shlita, the Yortzat of what's his name? Reb Gedalia Ahron from Linitz. There's a sefer from him, Chen Ahron. There's a known Reb Gedalia Melinitz, there's a sefer from him, Shuais Chen, Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov of the Magid, Reb Gedalia Melinitz, Shuais Chen. This is a descendant of him. He was called Reb Gedalia Ahron from Linitz. His Yortzat is Yidan at Shvat. He asks, if you could have such a Geshmak Pshat Vayichad Yisrael, that he was happy, why do you have to bring down another Pshat Vayichad Yisrael? If you could have a good pshat, like a lot of the Mefarshim ask by Noach, Yesh Doirish L'Shvach, Yesh Doirish L'Gnai. Why? If you could be Doirish L'Shvach, why should you be Doirish L'Gnai? He says Gemaldik. He says that the Nase B'Sorech Chidudin that was by Yitro, you call it again goosebumps? What? Goosebumps. What happened to Yisro goosebumps, that was a teva. That's the nature. A person should feel like this. Now the godness of Yisro was, even though he had those feelings, he was still vayismach Yisro, he was happy. So it's the opposite. The second shot only adds to the shvach of Yisro, saying even though he had the nature, he had the feeling of chidudin, still he was able to be sumeach with what happened to Klal Yisrael. And that's why, the reason why Rashi brings it, because if the Pasuk would only want to tell us that he was happy, why doesn't it say, Vayismach Yisrael, Yisrael was happy? Why does the Pasuk write Vayichat? Yichat is takemaloshe chedva, also simche. But why don't you write the normal Loshe Vayismach Yisrael? Because he wants to teach us. There was also the other definition, and that was Pasha, because that's the nature. It should be an Asa B'Sarech Chedidin. And even though he was Vayismach Yisrael, because it was a Toive for Klal Yisrael, he was able to be so happy for Klal Yisrael, even though it was Ibud Mitzrayim, he was happy for them. Now there's so much to speak still, but I want to go on a little bit on the Aseres Adibros. How much time do we still have? By the Aseres Adibros, one of the Aseres Adibros is the mitzvah of Zucheres Yom HaShabbos Tekatshoy. We have to remember the whole week of the day of Shabbos. And Rashi goes on, and Rashi says, Sheishes, on the Pasuk, Sheishes Yomim Tavoid, V'asisa Kol Malachtecho. The 6 days of the week you should work and do all of your malachos. Could the person finish everything in 6 days of the week? A lot of times people are still in the middle of something when Shabbos arrives. What's V'asisa Kol Malachtecho? Rashi says, when Shabbos comes, it should be in your eyes considered. Ke'ilu Kol Malachtecho Asiyah. Everything is done, there's nothing what you have to do on Sunday. The world is finished. Stopped, now it's Shabbos. Put everything in a safe, lock it up. Motzei Shabbos, we're going to see what we can do further. Now everything is locked away. When Shabbos comes, Yehei B'einecha Ki'ilu Kol Malachtecha Asuya. Everything is done. I once said, the Pshat, we say by davening, Yakire v'necha v'yedu ki ma'itcha him enichosam. We say it by Shalashitas, by Minche. What's the eitzah that a person should be able to lock up everything? If a person understands when Shabbos comes and he has the true Emuna that whatever he did b'meshech the week, everything was b'siyata d'shmaya. He also v'oise v'yaseh l'chalamas. Hashem does everything. If you come to this true clear Emuna, so what do you have to worry about Sunday? You did something b'meshech the week. Hashem did everything, so let him do next week also. You're not the one that you have to worry how and what and where. For sure, you have to do ishtadlus. But after all, you know that even when you do ishtadlus, Hashem is the one running the show. So he says like this, Yakiri v'necha v'yedu kima itcha. If a Yid comes to Shabbos and he is a makir and he knows, kima itcha, whatever happened is from you, that's the menucha of Shabbos. Like this, he could come into Shabbos with a menucha because he knows everything is anyway. Hashem does everything. So by being a makir and knowing clearly, kima itcha, everything is from you, that's the menucha of Shabbos. And my friend once told me, we sing on Shabbos the song Ko'ech Soif. Probably you know this song Ko'ech Soif. By the second part we say Hoya Hoive Shomoy Shoimre Yemetzapim Shabbos Kochecha. Why don't we say V'yeh? Hoya Hoive V'yeh. There are some Zemiris in that they write Hoya Hoive V'yeh, but in the normal Zemiris it doesn't say Yeh, only Hoya Hoive. It told me, you know why? Because when Shabbos comes, there's no year. You don't have to think about what's going to be. You don't think about what's going to be. Everything was from Hashem. Now, for sure, everything is going to be from Hashem, but it's not my worry to worry what's going to be the year. So that's why you don't say year. But that's the pshat, knowing on Shabbos that everything is from Hashem, and in that case, he could work on it. It should be kilikol malach techvasiya. There are a lot of chatzeros of Hasidim that on Shabbos morning, when they make Kiddush, they don't make on a glass of wine. They make on a small cup of schnapps, yash, they call it, whiskey. Oh, whiskey, that's the real word. So they make on a small cup of whiskey. And there's a Chivas Marsham. This week is the yahrzeit of the Marsham. The Marsham brings down of a lot of that he heard that the Rav Chizuk did like this, and the Chizuk from Lublin made like this Kiddush. And the idea is, even though usually we need a revius, but usually by wine, we drink a full cup. A revius is the shear. But when you drink whiskey, usually people don't take a big full cup of revius. You take a small cup. So that's considered the choshev shear shtiye of whiskey. So that's why that's enough. Even though al pi halucha, clearly you should make on wine and make a boy the priyagofen. But a lot of chassidim made on whiskey, and they made the shahakol near b'dvoroi. Al kein beirach Hashem asiyem haShabbos vayikatsheyu baruch atu Hashem shahakol near b'dvoroi. Now the Yidak Kodesh of Peshischa, he also, his minig was to make on whiskey. His Einikel once said that he heard from chassidim, what's the tam? Gewaldige tam. Because on Friday night, every Yid says Kiddush. What do we say by Kiddush? Zikore l'maaseh bereishis. Zeichel yetzias Mitzrayim. We scream out and we say, Hashem created the world. Yesh ma'ayin zeichel l'maaseh bereishis. He took us out from Mitzrayim. Zeichel yetzias Mitzrayim. He was meshadet all ma'achos shemayim v'oretz. He did for Klal Yisrael. He is echad yochid meyichad Hashem. It comes Shabbos morning. We do Kiddush. We only make a bracha boy the priyagov, and that's the only bracha that we make the Kiddush of Shabbos and the Pri. It's a very small Kiddush. We call it Kiddush or Rabba. Beloshen Saginur, it's called the big Kiddush because it's a small Kiddush. We call it Kiddush or Rabba. Beloshen Saginur. But a Yid wants to be Mayid on Shabbos morning also, but he doesn't have the Nusach of Kiddush. What does he have? If he changes it for a Shahakol, he screams out, Shahakol niya bidvaroi. Everything was done by Hashem, bidvar Hashem, Shamayim Nasi. Whatever happened the whole week is everything Dvar Hashem. If that's the case, so that's why they were Mahadir, not to make on wine, to say Boy the Priyagofen, to make on whiskey and say Shahakol niya bidvaroi. I once heard that a chassid came to the Kabriner, a Moshe from Kabrin, and he arrived there in the middle of Shachris. He had a problem, he had a tzara, and he wanted to be masked by the Rebbe. After davening, before the Rebbe accepted him, he sat down to eat something. They brought him in a farina, a daisa, I think. Greifler, they call it in Yiddish. But it's not a farina, because a farina we make him a zoinus. They brought him in something that you make on that, the shahakol. And Moshe Kabrine made the shahakol, and he started eating. And he looks at this chassid, and he calls him, tells him, you're not like your father. This chassid was like, he didn't even speak to the Rebbe a word, and he's telling him, you're not like your father. He told him like this, your father also once came to me. When he had the Eis Tzara, he had a problem. And he arrived there in the morning, and before he was able to see me and speak to me, he heard me making a shahakol niya b'dvaroi, and he right away came over and said, the Rebbe, I'm going home. Why? Because if he heard from a Yid saying, Shahakol niya b'dvaroi, that was enough for him. Well, everything he said, it became clear to him. He heard from his Rebbe saying, Shahakol niya b'dvaroi, it became so clear that everything is Hashem, so he has nothing what to ask, and he went home. And you heard from me saying, Shahakol niya b'dvaroi, and you're still standing over here. The Sid understood, so he said to Rebbe, and he went home. He also went home. Now, they say in the name of Rav Moshe Kabrini, he said like this, why is it that a person sometimes he is very down, and he takes a cup of whiskey, and he drinks, and he becomes uplifted. Usually we think because the alcohol does it. He said, no, because they make the bracha shahakol niya b'dvaroi, that lifts him up. So if that's the case, he alone asked, Why did he have to take a cup of whiskey? He should take a cup of water and make shakel nibedvaroi. He said, true. But once a person is zoiche to come to this akore, to this yediyah, and understanding that shakel nibedvaroi, he deserves a cup of whiskey. Once a person is zoiche to get to this akore, to know that shakel nibedvaroi, he deserves a cup of whiskey. Now I want to finish with a word from the Zera Shimshon. The Zera Shimshon says like this. The Zera Shimshon says this week's Parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu is about to, the Klal Yisrael is ready to be Mekabel the Torah. And Hashem tells to Moshe Rabbeinu, Lech reid, go down again and tell Klal Yisrael that no one should dare to come up on the Bar Sinai. What did it say in Posik? Reid hoid ba'om. Warn them. Pen yehersu el Hashem lirois. And Moshe tells Hashem, Lo yichal oam lalois. No way that a Yid is going to go up. Because I already warned them. Hagbel esuar v'kidashtoi. Hashem goes on and tells them, Lech reid, go down. V'olisa. You're going to come up together with the Ahron and the Kahanim. And it says, Vayered Moshe roam. Moshe goes down. So as the Zera Shimshon, why didn't Moshe go down in the first time? When Hashem tells him. Now, only the second time. Usually you could say, he tried to convince Kavyochel Hashem that there's no need to go down another time. But he sees Hashem dafka once, he should go down another time. So he goes down. But he says, if that's the case, so what was Moshe Rabbeinu's Havamina? in it? Didn't he know that Hashem knows that he already warned Klal Yisrael? And even though Hashem tells him, I want you to go down another time, he has to wait, Hashem should tell him twice. And he says another thing, why the second time Hashem mentions, after you're going to go down, you're going to come back for Alisa Atov Ahron. What's the pshat? He says the gewaltige Zach. He says the Gemara says in Masechta Bruchis, Ayoytzim ebeis hakneses. If you go out from a shul, you shouldn't run out of a shul. You should go out slowly. Al yafsiya psiye gase. You shouldn't go out with big steps. Go out slowly from a shul. Now the Gemara goes on and says, V'lo yamoron elo lameipak. When you go out, aval lameyal, when you come to a shul, kolshkederetne, for sure you should run. Coming to shul, it says in Pasuk, Neil chonir de foladas es Hashem, run to the shul. Now the Rif, in one of his pshatim, has a gewaltig pshat. What does the Gemara want to tell us? That coming to shul you should run. Pashat, everybody knows. The whole reason is going away from a shul, you have to go slowly. But coming to shul you should run. The Rif says gewaltig. He says that the Veloya Baron of the Gemara refers to going out. If someone is going out and he's planning to come back, he's just going out for 5 minutes. In such a case, he's allowed to go out fast because he wants to be back faster. He wants to be back quicker. If he wants to go out in Ganzen, if he wants Lemeipak, he wants to go home, he's not allowed to go out with a psigas, he's not allowed to run. He has to do it slowly. But if it's betochnit, he has a plan lemeyal to come back again, in such a case, he's allowed to go down fast also. Now it says like this, the Zera Shimshon. Moshe was very afraid. He's going away from Hashem. Now, he's going down from the mountain, from Har Sinai to Klal Yisrael. So when he's going away from Hashem, he has to go down very, very slowly. And he was afraid he won't know exactly the timing. He's going to do it very slow. And maybe it's going to arrive the second that Hashem wants to give the Torah for Klal Yisrael. And he won't be back on the mountain of Har Sinai. Hashem won't wait for him. Maybe he's going to do it too slow. He wants to be Mahadir. He's going to try to do it slow. And Hashem is going to give the Torah. He was very afraid. He wanted to be on the mountain when Hashem gives him the Torah. When Hashem understood this, so the second time Hashem told him, Lech reit ve'olisa atav Ahron. Now you have a tzivu to come back. You don't only have a tzivu to go down. You have a tzivu from Hashem to come back. If that's the case, you're allowed to go down fast because you want to come back. And that was when Hashem taught him this halacha from the Rif. Hashem taught to Moshe Rabbeinu then when he was on his way going down from the Bar Sinai. That was when Hashem taught him this halacha. I saw in the Sefer Divrei Yecheskel of the Shin Yeveruv, also another small zach. The Divrei Yecheskel says by the Pasuk of Zuchat Yom HaShabbos Lekatshoi, we say like this: all of us have to, how do you call it, Shomer Shabbos, to Shomer, how do you say Shomer? Guard. You have to guard the laws of Shabbos. It says like this, Ato, Ivincha, Ivitecha, you, your son, your daughter, Avdecha v'Amoscha, your servant, your maid, Ivehemtecha, your behemoth, V'geircha shabesherecha. So it says the Divrei Yecheskel of Shinyeve, a ger once asked him, why does the Torah write a ger so in the end, after even behemtecha, Ato, Ivincha, Ivitecha, Avdecha v'Amoscha, Ivehemtecha, only afterwards v'geicha. Why is he the last? So he's so a ger tzedek that was Megayed himself should be considered the last. He answered him, no. The pshat is you're very choshev. When the pasuk says Vincha v'techa, it doesn't refer to a godel, a ben that's a godoi, because a godel is already ato. Hashem speaks to everyone that's more than 30 years old. Every godoi. It refers to bonim ibonoi saktanim, your small children that you have a chiyuv to be the mechanech. So it says like this. When I say to you, Ato, you are mitzuveh, you are being told by Hashem to watch also on Bincha, also on Bitecha, Avdecha, V'amoscha, Ivemtecha. So all of those are like chalukim from Ato. In the tzivu of Ato, it's not only you, all of your children, all of your servants, all of your balachayim. Now the second one is v'geicha. It's like it says ato v'geicha. You and the ger, because whatever is considered afterwards by the pasuk is like protim of ato. In the tzivu of ato, you have to watch on you, on your small children, on your behemoths, on your eved. All of this is considered part of the ato. Another small thing that I want to say, I saw that the Paneach Rose writes an interesting zach. What was the din Torahs that Moshe Rabbeinu had? Klal Yisrael came to Moshe Rabbeinu, standing a whole day, din Torahs, it says in the Pasuk. What was such big din Torahs over there? They were in Midbar, they got mon, they got water. What was the din Torahs? Someone wanted to build out another room. They were bidanana covered. What was the Torahs over there? He says that by Kriyas Yamsif, there was the Bizas Hayom. Klal Yisrael took a lot of money over there, more than the Bizas Mitzrayim. Now those that were standing next to the Sfas Hayom, next to the shore, they caught much more than the ones that were standing a little bit further. Now the ones that were standing further came with a taine. Hashem gave a matana for Klal Yisrael Bizas Hayom. So it can be those that were closest should grab more, and the ones further should have less. You have to put everything into one big bat, and then split it up equally by everyone. That was their taine. That was their time. So a part of the Torah says the Paneach Noza. He was one of the Rishonim. He says part of their Torah was that they were fighting around. Why should you have more? I should have less. Maybe we should make it equally. Seems to be that there was already then like a thought to eat. Everyone should be equal. Everyone, yeah. Communism wanted everyone should be equal. No, but over there it wasn't communism. They were saying that when Hashem gives, Hashem gave for everyone equally. So that was their rotzen. They wanted it to be equally. So we should all be zoiche. This week's parsha, it says Moshe Yedaber v'Alekim Yanenu bekoil. We know that by Matan Torah, all of the choilim became healed. And it says in Halucha that on Shabbos you're not allowed to daven for a refuah. So when you go into a choil, you say Shabbos yim elizik, a refuah kroi v'lovoi. You're not allowed to daven on Shabbos, so Hashem is going to send you the refuah. So it says in the name of the Zidichoiver, it says, interesting, Moshe is Rosh Tevis, Shabbos hi milizoik. That's Moshe. Shabbos hi milizoik. Koil is Rosh Tevis, Urefio, Kroiva, Lovoi. That's Koil. Urefio, Kroiva, Lovoi. So he says, Moshe Yedaber. It comes on Shabbos, and a person says, Shabbos hi milizoik. I can't cry out because it's Shabbos. So I have to hold myself back. V'Alekim Yaneni, Hashem answers him. Bekoil, what's koil? The refuah kroi v'lovoi. The refuah is going to come very soon. Shabbos im elizik, refuah kroi v'lovoi. Befrat such a Shabbos of Matan Torah. Chazal say by Matan Torah, all the choilim got a refuah shalaima. I once heard of my shver from my shver Shlita. Told me in the name of the first Behusher Rebbe, he explained Shabbos im elizik, refuah kroi v'lovoi. Very geschmack. He explained it like this. He says, Refuah kroi v'lovoi means already before Shabbos. Because on Shabbos you're not allowed to daven. And even if the refuah is going to come after Shabbos, it's going to be like Shabbos was meichen lechoil, because Shabbos brings down the shefa, and Shabbos was like preparing. You're not allowed to prepare from Shabbos to Choil. So Hashem should send the refuah already Erev Shabbos. Because Shabbos is malizik, Shabbos is not allowed to cry and daven for a refuah. So a refuah cry will love already before Shabbos. Allah's Yitzchok the best.